Okay, we're live for the Boredom podcast where I go live because I'm bored. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Yes, Mary. Yes, I've already started the live. I cut out because I hit the wrong button. Feel free to hit the link and jump up here if you want. Am I still cutting in and out? 'Cause like I said, I think the cutting out, I hit the wrong button. Right. Like I said, anybody that I've talked to on a regular basis, feel free to hit the link and jump up on panel and talk. I decided I was bored and was gonna do a live, whether or not there was anything going on. So, yep, you are. I told everybody else I was starting in 10 minutes, so I think they took that as a hint that I wasn't going to be starting. But since you asked for me to hurry up, I hurried up. Yeah, I haven't cultivated my own community yet. I've got about 4 or 5 of y'all that are regulars, and that's about it. Don't feel bad. It's all good. I honestly thought there was more people waiting to for me to go live than just you. That's why I did it early. But like I said, I enjoy when people that I know hop on and have the panel with me, so we have more than just me babbling. I actually appreciate good conversation. That's cool. Yep. Anyone that wants to is welcome to hop in on the panel. The link is pinned at the top. JJV is probably busy either with work or doing his gameplay or something. Yeah, I can understand that to a degree, Marilicious. And as I said before, I I honestly think that a lot of the issue within the community is just the fact that people aren't being there for each other and just doing their own thing whenever they feel like it. Which I understand everybody has fucking their own lives and everything, and you know families and work and everything else, but there used to be a time where we all would set aside a time to hang out and be with each other and hang out with each other and make conversation or what have you with each other, but it seems that it's gone by the wayside. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everybody's wonder what happened. We had the meetup. Everybody seemed like we were all getting along and being friends, and now it seems like there's all this bickering and backfighting and people not showing up for each other. I agree. A lot of people don't show up until something gets said in a general context in which they get in their feels, and then they feel they need to chime in. But I did not mean to have this be a continuation of what's going on in a Discord conversation. But I'm also not going to shy away from the conversation either. It's one of those, it is what it is. I mean, it's up to you if you want to name names, but I understand completely what you're saying. Yeah, I've always said conversation leads to understanding. And if people would use that as a way of understanding how people think, act, and feel by having conversations with them instead of assuming you know everything, then you open your mind to more possibilities than you originally thought. It's why I love to have conversations. It's why I listen more than I speak, is because I enjoy listening to people and understanding where they're coming from and how they feel, think, and act. I don't have to agree with it, but I understand it. That's a good possibility, that half of a good conversation gets lost in translation, or people get too easily triggered. Yeah, that is correct. That people do get in their feels when conversations are being had, especially when they feel personally attacked. That's why I try to tell people that it's not personal, and or even if I feel like I'm being attacked, I'll stop and ask. Yeah, and whenever I ask, is this about me? I don't say it as a accusation. I say it like I literally want to understand if I'm a problem, or if what is being said is directed at me or not. Yeah, I at least try to anyway. And I feel like everybody should be that way, and when they feel like they're attacked, instead of going on the defensive, actually ask what somebody is talking about and meaning. I appreciate that. I try to be that way a lot of the times. Plus, I also try to see things from both sides of a point of view. That's why when I jump in, I'm usually trying to bridge a gap and or make both sides see the other side's point of view to where we can come to a understanding and a middle ground. I believe that's what made this country great, America anyway, in the first place, is that we used to do that at one time. We used to listen to each other, and instead of feeling accused and attacked, we would try to find solutions and middle ground. And I think that's what's missing in the world today, is we not enough people are willing to find a middle ground and coexist. Everybody needs to draw a line in the sand. Thing is, though, and this is just my humble opinion, I asked a specific person what their issue was with me, but then they didn't say anything about it. They just continued typing to trigger without reason. And I can understand that. And that's also true. There's a lot of people out there that feel that their opinion is the be all end all, and nobody wants to listen and come to some sort of understanding or middle ground. In my old age, when I was growing up, I was taught there's three things you don't talk about. There was politics, religion, and the last party you went to, because you know that they're all going to start fights. And when you don't talk about those things, that's when you can actually have conversations and get to know people and, you know, build friendships. But nowadays, everybody wants to argue and fight. No, that's a good possibility too. You know, and yeah, that's the way that this society is nowadays. If you're not for me, you're against me, and not everything is a for or against um, conversation or ideology. It's, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let me understand where you come from so you can understand where I come from, and let's have a middle ground. And that's what needs to happen more. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what drew me to Alpha's Discord in the first place, was it was free speech and everybody got along no matter what their opinions were. People listened and said, okay, I don't agree. Here's why I don't agree, but I'm not going to personally attack you. We're still going to be friends. And that kind of blown out the window lately. And I blame politics for it primarily, because people feel the need to pick a side. And if you're not on my side, you're against me, when there's still a middle ground. People that believe in compromise and understanding each other, and that there are good people on either side. It's just the whack jobs that are the far reaches on the side that make it bad for everybody. Exactly, and that's why what I don't like seeing. I don't like seeing fighting. I've said it before. Is there's enough negativity in the world to go around. We need to spread positivity. This is true. There is a whack job on any side of a conversation. Cool. I'm talking in generalities anyway, not just what's happened in Discord, Killzo. And if you want to, feel free to hit the link and jump up and have a conversation with me. Not to mention, people also have to remember there's a lot of things that you can't derive from text, that being like on a panel or in a voice chat, or on a phone or in video, doesn't come through in text. Sarcasm, a lot of jokes and things like that don't come through well in text, because people don't understand uh, verbal or physical cues. But I thought we had Kelso, but he didn't show up. Yeah, and that's I agreed with your point when you brought it up that things do get lost in translation sometimes. Any of y'all wanting to jump on the panel, just jump up. You'll be able to also text in chat on the panel. There'll be a way I can tell you how to do it. There you go, Marilicious. He said, "Ask away." I'll go, Killzo. You don't have to have your camera on. You can join with just the mic, but I understand. Marilicious said, "I asked the question a while ago. I will ask again and try to be as clear as I can as to not cause confusion." Okay. She said, "You seem to have an issue with me, and I was wondering why, because I don't recall ever having talked to you or interacted with you previously, or at least not in a way that, in my mind, caused you to feel any type of way about me, so I was wondering what the issue is and what caused it." As we wait for a reply, I can say from knowing Killzo and having talked with him, a lot of his conversations are meant as jokes and or uh, reactions to what other people have said. So it might come across as him having an issue, but it's really just him having conversation. But I'll let him answer for himself. I'm just kind of trying not to have dead air. And that kind of goes. Hmm. Interesting. Something else is trying to be nice is one thing, but if you have a legitimate reason to dislike somebody, that's not necessarily being an asshole. That's just letting them know, you know, an issue you have, so that they can either A, explain themselves better for you not to think of them in a negative light, or B, to have that um, mutual understanding that you don't like each other. Because me personally, I don't dislike anybody, at least in the Alpha team and a couple other groups that I'm in. When I don't like somebody, I usually will let them know, and or I don't even respond to anything that they say because I see them as a non-person, so I refuse to speak to them. Oh, I was just saying that you said you'd say if you were an asshole, but you'd rather not speak on it. Uh, I feel that, you know, I can understand that wanting to not be an asshole to somebody, but if you actually have a legitimate reason that you dislike somebody, that talking it out usually makes people re-explain their point to the fact that you can understand it and, you know, move past it and get along, or go ahead and realize you just don't like each other. I have to mute because there's a train. Well, I'd like to say that, you know, part of conflict resolution is actually having conversations and discussing issues with people, so that either A, they understand where you're coming from, or B, you can understand where they're coming from, so that you can either bridge gaps and come to, you know, an understanding of um, how each other thinks and feels and become friends, or you realize there's too big of a gap and you'll never be friends and you can just be civil. And I mean, a lot of arguments or misunderstandings between people could be solved with DMs talking to each other and getting to know and understand each other. And honestly, I think that's also a big thing of what's the problem going on in the Discord is that there are people that have feelings that they can't express about people, and they just lash out instead of actually talking it out with each other and figuring out, oh, okay, I was wrong about this person, or, you know, this person is exactly what I thought they were, and this is why we can't get along because they think this, and this, and I believe completely opposites. And I hope this brings y'all to a kind of an understanding to be at least civil with each other and not attack each other. Again, anybody that wants to hop on. Honestly, I think we all need to stop going after each other and just start being friends again. No promises, but can you at least try? I figured as much. And that's one thing I always give Marilisa. She's fair about it. If she says something about somebody, she wholeheartedly expects them to say something back. So when she calls somebody out for something, she expects them to call her out and or for a conversation to be had, so to speak, between the two parties, if not more. Yeah, I understand, Marilicious. That is a good point too. And I can understand that, Kelzo. And to Marilicious's point is some of what rubs you the wrong way about her is probably her humor and sarcastic overtones in what she types that come across as serious when she doesn't mean it to be. It's like what I tell everybody is whenever I'm typing, if I put LOL before or after my phrase that I'm typing, that means I'm not serious, I'm joking. So people can understand that I'm not being serious with what I'm saying. I'm really just making a joke about it and trying to blow it off. Like, for example, when I put LOL when I was said I couldn't believe that I was actually agreeing with Geminator, that was all meant as a joke because Geminator does have good ideas every now and then. Not often, but every now and then. This is true. And it's like I said, a lot of times, you know, people get wrong impressions from text messaging because of what's said or how it's said or how we take what's being typed because we don't hear inflection, tone, or realize that it's meant in sarcasm or joking. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever been thanked for not liking someone either. So also rare that I'm on this panel by myself with a few people in here. Exactly. It is how things go wrong with typing. Aloha, Tater. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate that, Tater. I just miss the good old days. That's all. People say I long for a kumbaya moment, but it's really I just miss us all getting together and talking, and whether we agree, disagree, or are somewhere in the middle, we all just got along and had fun together. I can pine for them, though, Marilicious. I can pine. I always am. I pine for the good old days. I mean, I understand some of it, Tater, but there's a lot of people not showing up or not being around for each other like they used to that I feel is fallout from some people who aren't around anymore, that people have just taken to drawing lines in sands and saying either you're for me or against me. Um, to a degree, Marilicious, because you got to remember, we've never had anything like that happen over here before. That was unprecedented. So it made a lot of people sit and take notice and try to draw lines in the sand because our government is not supposed to do that to us. Our government is supposed to serve us, not the other way around. In the way we think, act, and feel about the American society in general. So when the lockdowns happened, there was a lot of people that were lonely, did not have anybody, were by themselves, or had limited access to family, and the internet gave them something to do and look forward to. And once the lockdowns were over, everybody started blowing off the internet in their separate ways. And there's a lot of us that, you know, felt that we lost friends over it because everybody just took off. And that's something I was saying earlier, Tater, is a lot of people have taken politics and drawn lines in the sand and said, if you believe in one thing, then I don't like you and I can't be friends with you. When we were growing up, because I know you're about my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, that we were taught there was three things you don't talk about in public, and that was politics, religion, and the last party you went to, because you knew it was guaranteed to start an argument or a fight. And I believe that, our society has gotten away from that, and a lot of people are ruining perfectly good friendships by drawing that line in the sand, saying you're either for or against me. Yeah, a lot of the introverts felt that way, Marilicious, but extroverts had an issue with it. I mean, I guess, Tater, that was just me, but I was always taught growing up that those were the three things that were guaranteed to start an argument or a fight, was to talk about politics, religion, or the last party you went to. Because with the last party you went to, if somebody wasn't there, then you were narking. Uh, Politics, like now, if you bring it up, people tend to feel a certain way. You're either for or against me. And it's the same thing with religion. If you believe something that somebody else doesn't believe, then you feel like you can't get along. When, if you put all that aside and just have conversations with people, you tend to find you have a lot more in common than you do not in common, if you take those factors out of the equation, and you can actually be friends with people. Because, as Donald Trump said, there's good people on both sides. You just have to go ahead and have those conversations. What do you mean, Tater? It has nothing to do with that. Like I said, if you're willing to have conversations with people. Well, no, I get that, but it's just that there's a lot of people nowadays that are ruining friendships over, you know, what political party they're part of. And with what Marilisha says, I understand cultural differences because I've lived in other countries. So that's another reason why I try to bridge gaps between people of different cultures, because I understand that cultural differences have a factor in how people think, act, and feel. And I try to bridge that gap and let the people of another culture understand the American way, and Americans understand that they have a different way of thinking too. Damn, Killzo, that sucks. Right? And I get what you're saying, Tater, but when Simple came back, then there was still a lot of animosity that people needed to get rid of and let go, that they didn't. No, nobody asked you to forgive. It's just that holding on to animosity over things that happened doesn't help a situation. I mean, I've met Simple. He's a good dude. You know, sometimes he will go a different way than what others do, but he learns from his mistakes, as we all do. And I think people deserve a second chance. You know, the Christian way is to turn the other cheek, and I feel that a lot of Christians have forgotten or given up on that because they have turned the other cheek so much that they feel that they need to strike back, and that's not what Jesus taught. A lot of Jesus' teachings were about forgiveness and not holding grudges or being um, too of the earth or society and giving to God what is God's. But isn't that what you're doing, Tater? Holding a grudge because people left and came back? I'm just replying to what you're typing, so if I'm not understanding, please let me know. And again, anybody that I've talked to in VC or on a regular, feel free to hit the link and join. Oh, I understand, Marilicious, and I'm not telling her what she should or shouldn't do. I'm just pointing it out and trying to understand, like I said. Okay. I'm just making sure. And again, like I said, in my belief, conversation leads to understanding. And even if the conversation is a hard one to have, I believe that having the conversation leads to a better understanding of who you're talking to as well as yourself. Oh no, I understand that Tater. You don't have to um, be any part of anything anybody does, but holding on to the negative reaction to things somebody does is partially holding a grudge, in my eyes at least. That's true, Marilicious. That this is true, Tater, and um, as I've mentioned many times before, people use that to say that Jesus was also just as vengeful as God is, and that's not completely true. The reason Jesus overturned the tables in the temple was because they were gambling in the temple and taking advantage of the poor and people who didn't know any better. And he did not like what he saw of taking advantage of the poor, weak minded, and so on. So he overturned the tables and asked them what they were doing and said that they were not being godlike, which they weren't. Well, I I can see your point, but at the same time, he hasn't gone live on his channel in a long time, and he hasn't asked for any monetary value, anything monetarily that I know of for a long time. So I don't feel that he is doing that. Well, Kilzo, we talk the Bible, not the Torah, because it's the Christian faith. But it does stem from the Jewish faith. But the Jewish faith is more the Old Testament of the Bible, and the New Testament is what the Jews don't believe in. Not all things Tater, but I. And I never said he wasn't. I just said I don't know of him asking anybody for help. If he has behind the scenes, I don't know about it because he's kept it behind the scenes. It also may not be hitting the wrong buttons, Marilicious. It might be weather interference. Well, like I said, I was speaking of things that I did know about Tater. I was saying I don't know of any time that he's done this. I'm not going to speak about things I don't know about. I'm just saying that of what I have observed, this hasn't happened in a long time. I mean, I defend everybody. That's just who I am. I've defended Alpha, I've defended Simple, I've defended Mary, I've defended um, Mandy, I've defended Jiminator, I've defended JJV. Ask around. I defend everybody. I've even defended you, Tater. We all have our shortcomings. I'm just saying. You're funny, Mary. And Tater, people would say a lot of the times my biggest issue is I'm a fence sitter. I see both sides of a story and I try to bridge a gap. I didn't quite sing it in my head, but I thought it was funny. I try to, Killzo. I do try. Because, like I said, there's so much negative in the world. You know, I want to try to be the positive influence. And there's a lot of times I sit back and wonder if it's worth it, and that if I died tomorrow, if anybody would even give a shit. And to see, that's my point. I don't know things, but I admit when I don't. And like I said, I would rather see everybody sing kumbaya and get along than argue and fight. Am I an instigator at sometimes? Yes. We all end up having our own issues at those times and instigate, but I try more times than not to bridge gaps. And Marilicious over here, a lot of people say I can neither confirm nor deny that at this present moment, which is about the same thing as what you said. And kind of like what Tater said. Yep. Or I plead the fifth. That's another good one. Yeah, I can say we do. We do have that in common, or at least we try to. It's one of the things that drew me to Simple in the first place was him trying to bridge gaps along with Alpha at the same time. Like I've said before, when I joined Alpha's Discord, it was all about a ragtag group of people who didn't necessarily all have the same beliefs and ideas, but came together to be uh, one big happy family, no matter what we believed in. And somewhere along the way, we've lost that message. And I would like to see it come back, where we have conversations, we get along, we get in voice chats and talk and come to understandings. And if we can't bridge a gap, at least say, okay, we can be civil with each other. This is true, Marilicious, but that's part of being a family is, you don't always agree. That's a good way of dealing with it. I was always brought up to the belief that anything that happens in your life that's negative, you give yourself an allotted amount of time to dwell in it and then build a bridge and get over it. Give yourself an allotted amount of time, and when that time's up, you build your bridge and get over it. And Tater, even if you are a black sheep, you're a member of a fold. So, you're part of a family. A ragtag bunch of misfits that get together and have each other's back. We may not all always agree, but let somebody else attack one of us. And bridges are always meant to be rebuilt. It just depends on where you rebuild them. Doesn't have to be in the same place. It can be somewhere else. Amen, Killzo. Amen. That's why I'm all about conversation and understanding and getting to know people. Because, like I said, bridges are always meant to be rebuilt. It just doesn't have to be rebuilt in the same spot. You can move them. You can have a bridge over a gap that gets moved. And sometimes you don't even have to dismantle the bridge or burn it down. You can just move it instead. And that's the point of conversation leading to understanding is when you have conversations with people, you can get to know them and understand the way they think and feel so that you know whether or not you need to even worry about a bridge at that point or if you just go and find another area to have a bridge. Well, Tater, you can't say 10 toes down. I only have 9. Right? And a lot of that conversation in Discord, that's basically what it was. It was basically people venting about their frustrations, about us taking time to be with each other and not getting to be with each other and not hanging out. I know, Mary. This is true, Tater. And Killzo, I always try to be the superhero I never thought I could be. And maybe, Mary, maybe I have to try that tomorrow. I go to my wound care appointment tomorrow. Maybe I can blow their minds by blowing on my thumb and getting it to pop out. Yeah, I get that, Tater. I mean, I've said it before. My life has not been easy either. And there's a podcast where I laid it out that my whole life has been very painful from the time I was born till present. But I also don't dwell in it, and I'd rather see the good in people than the negative. And see, that's the point that I was making is nobody was fucking with each other. Everybody was venting, and it was a good thing that people did vent because their feelings got heard and understood, and the conversation was actually a pretty good conversation. Funny, Kelzo, funny. By the way, Killzo, you like rock music, right? There's a band from Sweden that it's called Smash into Pieces. They have a song called Superhero that is one of my favorites by them. I think you'd actually like it too. Oh, I understand, Tater. And like I said, that's why I said it was mainly people venting, and why I purposely didn't mention people by name, because what I had said in there about people not responding was not meant at anybody that does show up. It was meant at people that say they'll show up and don't show up. Cool, Kizaloo. Like I said, I hope you wrote that down. Yes, I agree, Marilicious. Some people did take things way too personally, but at the same time, those that took things personally, I think, had a better understanding after the fact. I'm not completely sure. I did. Butt stuff. This is true. It is up to everybody, and individual responsibility is also a big factor. I know that, Tater, and also there's things that I know about people, and things that people know about me, and everybody has skeletons in their closet that people would be surprised about, and I'm just saying that, yeah, I just think that people deserve a second chance. But the whole saying, fuck me once, shame on me, fuck me twice, shame on you, fuck me three times, it's not going to happen, I believe in also. Hey, Lori. And that's a big thing, too. Trust is earned, not given, so I can understand that. I try to be trustworthy. People tell me stuff all the time that I keep to myself. I mean, but have we, Tater? Have we given more than one chance to folks? And you are, Lori. I know you. I know you're trustworthy, and I know you're a good person too. Amen. Amen. I agree with pretty much everything that's been said. Um, to Tater's point, though, I do try to see the good in people, even though, others might not see the good in people. No problem, Lori. Okay, Tater, I can understand your point of view on that one. But again, that's between you and him. She's talking about Simple IRL. He's part of Alpha Tyler's community. Yeah, I didn't think you did. He hasn't been around on YouTube's very often in the last 6 months or almost a year. Except for maybe on Alpha streams, but even then it's not been very often because he doesn't have reception where he's at, or he didn't. And that is a good point, Marilicious. Yeah, but then again, people have to learn their own mistakes and live their own lives, Tater. Mandy's a good person. However, lately she's been very argumentative, but I don't know if that's natural argument or her natural state of being argumentative, or if she's just actually trying to get a rise out of people to have conversations. I understand, Tater, and like I said, the conversation that had been had in Alpha's Discord, I don't think anybody was really pointing fingers your direction. Yeah, a lot of people that try to help others be happy get hit because people can't stand to see people happy. Yeah, that she has. I understand that, Tater. And I get you too, Lori. Again, like I said, I try to bridge gaps. Yeah, we understand, Tater. Being out there in Hawaii with the fires and everything, you know, I pray every day for y'all to be able to get back on your feet and stuff. It's okay. Have a good one, Kilzo. Hope work goes well. And Tater, you really have nothing to be sorry for. I mean, again, it was all everybody venting their personal feelings about what was being said and how it was being said, and a lot of things got misconstrued due to um, people's reaction to what was said and how things were said. I can understand that, Tater, and that's why I wanted to clarify. And I think we all kind of understand where you're coming from on it. That's why we're letting you know that we did not mean it in any way towards you, because we know that what you're going through. And again, that's one of the reasons why I wasn't trying to point fingers and call people out specifically. I was just saying things in a general sense to let people pipe up when they felt a certain way so that I could go ahead and say, oh, this isn't about you, or, oh, okay, now you want to say something. To which 90% of the, uh, actually, no. Come to think of it, 100% of the people that I actually directed my comments toward about not showing up didn't say a word. And we can understand that, Tater. And that's exactly why, on my part, it wasn't directed at you, Tater. It wasn't directed at you. It wasn't directed at Ash. It wasn't directed at Geminator. It wasn't directed at Tech. It wasn't directed at any of the Dutchies. It was more directed at other people that said that they would be around and never show up. Exactly. Yep. And I'm kind of sad that nobody ever came up on panel to talk, but I get it. And I'm glad we all had the conversation to get along and make our uh, feelings understood instead of holding on to it and letting it boil up. I'm sorry, Tater. I hope I would never made you feel that way, because I never did want anyone to feel like they're an outcast or anything. This is also why when people miss things like the new Geminator old Chris, I try to explain it to people so that they understand and not feel left out. Which I don't know if Tater knows about that little ongoing gag. No name to put on YouTube, aka Chris, sent in a bunch of shit songs a couple like 2 or 3 weeks ago to ATRL, and Namson and Alpha started calling him New Geminator and elevated Geminator to New Chris. So using that gag for a little while. I mean, I try to always be a positive, um, say hi and ask how you're doing and things like that, Tater. But I don't have the financial means to help anybody, even myself, right now. But if I could, I would. I'd be helping everybody that I could, and not only you, but Mandy, Inga, and others. That's a big reason why I'm not in a lot of live streams that much anymore, because I can't afford to be a help to people. I can understand that, Tater, because like I've said before, during lockdown when I got my stimulus money, I blew it on all sorts of people and communities and artists and everything else, and I went out with my toe amputated and saw no love back. I mean, I've been out of work since October without pay, relying on my family to help me. I filed for disability, but I haven't heard anything back from them, and I still have an open wound on my foot from where they amputated my toe that I go to in the morning to wound care to get checked out to make sure it's still healing properly. So I get you with that one. And my issue, like I said, isn't even within our community. It's all the other communities that I've shown love to that, you know, will go ahead and want to see me show up and send me links when they have new merch available and things like that, but they can't help me out in my time of need. So I feel you on that one completely. Agreed, Marilicious. If I hit the lottery tomorrow for, several million or $1 billion, I'd be helping a whole lot of people, but it ain't happening. Yeah, I get you. Yep, I understand. But I don't talk about my issues a lot because there's too many other people with bigger issues in the world than me. Yep. And that's also a big reason why a lot of people in the States don't trust the government because they make it too hard for people that need it and too easy for people that don't. And the people that don't abuse the system so the people that need it can't get it. At least that's always been my experience. Yep. I know, Tater, that happened down here during Hurricane Katrina. There was a lot of people that filed, and by the time they got their money, they were back to work and had to pay it back. Yep. Yep. When bad shit happens, all you can do is laugh. Otherwise, you'll cry. That's why dwelling in the past and or in negativity isn't worth it, because you'll only see more negativity, and you won't be able to appreciate the good things that happen. Which is another reason why I try to bridge gaps, because if all we're looking at is the negative, that's all we're going to see. We need to see the positive in each other to build on the positive and help lift each other up. And not necessarily financially, but just by being there for each other and being a shoulder to cry on or a sympathetic ear, so to speak. We all have our own issues, we all have our own struggles, but we're stronger together than we are divided. We used to have that saying in this country, united we stand, divided we fall, but a lot of people feel that they need to be divided than united. It's all right for people to have opinions, but everybody has to realize that everyone has an opinion and they don't all have are they're not all going to be the same opinion. Excuse me. Yep, that's the American way. Government gonna give you money, but they gonna get theirs too. Thank you, Mary. That's also one of the reasons why there's a lot of people that feel, excuse me, that the welfare system is broken and need to be revamped. I think I'm gonna have to go grab a drink. So if I go quieter, I'm going to get a drink and I'll be back. Sorry about that, folks. That's ridiculous, Tater. Yeah, I'm still alive. I went and got a drink and used the restroom, and then hit a wrong button and logged out, so I had to log back in. Yep. That's ridiculous. Around here, you can find a 3-bedroom house for like 1,000 to own, possibly 1,200 to own, but no, I'm just an old smoker. I smoke tobacco, not weed. I've been smoking since I was like 19. I ain't against smoking weed. I just don't do it because my parents would probably throw me out if they found out I did. Unless, of course, I had a medical card or something. Then they might allow it, but yeah, no. I'm just on the regular tobacco. I mean, again, like I said, I've had my issues not only with this toe being amputated, but a year before my toe was amputated, I had skin cancer removed. So it's always been one thing after another after another. Right before Hurricane Katrina, I fell at my job and hairline fractured my wrist. So getting healed up from that took longer than expected because for about 3 to 6 months we couldn't see a doctor unless we were like deathly ill because they were overwhelmed from the hurricane. But yeah, life is very strange. And I'm glad we can all come to an understanding and leave the bullshit behind. Try to get back to being friends again when we can. That's also a topic of discussion that I've always thought that the whole legalization of marijuana, what better way for a government to control the masses than to legalize something like marijuana that makes everybody mellow and laid back and all that, so that they can just come in and do whatever they want. That's understandable, Marilicious. It's one of the things that I always told Wick is, I may not agree with him, but I respect him because he lives what he says. He checks on his neighbors. He is very adamant about helping his neighbors out and or uh, being part of his church and part of that community and stuff. So I respect him highly for it. Don't have to agree with him, but I respect him. It's the same thing with Mandy. I love Mandy to death. I highly respect her. Do I agree with her on a lot of what she believes? No, but I respect her. I love her like a sister. Like I jokingly said before, she's got my toe, so it's in good hands. Yes, even after the toe thing. That's the thing. I love and respect pretty much everybody until they give me a reason not to. Like some of the people that have gotten themselves banned from Alpha's Discord, which is very few and far between. And there's still even one or two that aren't banned that I know of that are in there that just don't come around because they are not really liked. And that has nothing to do with anybody that we talked about. If you go in and look at the roster, you'll see names that people haven't heard from in probably about 2 years, maybe three. All good, Tater, all good. Grandbabies take precedent. And I've always said I don't like airing dirty laundry. So if people want to know who I have issues with, they can hit me up and I'll tell them. I just won't say it in public because it's my personal feelings about people. I have Discord DM, I have IG DM. So if people want, I think I even have Twitter DM. So if people want to know who I don't like, they can hit me up and I'll tell them in those. But I won't say it publicly because it's my personal feelings about people that I don't want to affect how other people look at people. Because, my personal feelings on people are my personal feelings. And if I have issue with anybody that I've talked to and or are talking to, I let them know in private how I feel. Now, my generalized statement in the Discord was directed at certain people that aren't around. And as I said, it has nothing to do with Tater or Ash or anybody really that I've talked to on a regular lately. It has to do with people that used to be around that are still members of the Discord that don't talk or say they'll be someplace and then don't show up. But I do also understand people have real lives and family and religious obligations and work obligations and things like that. So, if people have those issues, they know I'm not talking about them. Which I should have put in my diatribe. Exactly, Mary. I think that was pretty much what all of us were venting about. Were the people that said that they would be there and didn't show up. And again, like you said, it's over with, it's done. Doesn't need to, we don't need to beat a dead horse. I just went live to have something to do for a little while. And it's been almost 2 hours. So here at the probably 2 hour or 2 hour and a half mark, I'll shut it off. All depends on how many people we have conversating and or want to jump up on the panel and have a conversation. Like I said, I'll talk about just about anything. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll admit to it. And I'll let people tell me what they know. Probably. At least until Tater gets back from the grandbabies. If she does. But like I said, I got 10 minutes till it's been 2 hours, so I'll probably shut it off there. Others have probably all gone to bed by now. I did, however, see that, we had jumped up to 4 people for a while, 6 to 8 people for a while, and then dropped back down. Yeah, probably. Like I said, we got about 10 minutes, so we can talk about just about anything. I wish No Name would have popped by to give me the rundown on Raw on what happened. Because I saw and heard a few clips here and there, but didn't catch the show because I don't have cable. Or the Peacock app or whatever it is. That's cool. I don't really go live on a regular show. I mean, if you want to, that's cool. I usually just watch things on YouTube and catch the highlights and clips and stuff. That's cool. Like I said, if you want to, that's cool. Lot of wrestling gets boring to me but some of the storylines are interesting, and there's been things that have been happening that make it interesting. So cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, I saw that Rhea Ripley had to vacate her title because Liv jumped her and injured her. So there's a new women's title. Hmm. Yeah, I don't. I don't do ad blockers. I just either wait out the ads or I skip them. I figure that's just my lot in life. It's just my lot in life. We got about 6 more minutes to kill. I hope everybody had a good day, had a good night, and or has a good day or good night wherever you are in the world. And I think I'm gonna get out of here early. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Have a good one, y'all.